You mean all those people are sitting under your desk? Oh.
Pretty much. Yeah, keep pretty full house here. No, I just when spirit starts coming in, my nose starts running.
Well, if that's true, spirit's been crawling through my body and it can leave any time. You know, we figured out what I was allergic to the scented candles and the 9 candles.
Oh my God. My daughter is so on me about Yankee candles and stuff. She's like, no, mom, you can only do the homemade ones.
The
The-
soy ones. Well, I picked non-scent. Welcome to our conversation. Hi, this is Nancy Jean and this is Terry. And if y'all been here before, you understand these conversations. I had a horrible allergic reaction, and last week, I think it was a week ago today, uh, my my oxygen sats were at 84 in the morning.
oh my
I
God.
have been able to get up. The fact I got up and got on the machines and made it work. I went through a month's worth of albuterol nebulizer fluid in
Yeah.
2 weeks. So, and we found out I was killing myself with my own 9 candles. And I kind of figured it out the last day. So when I lit that ninth candle, and it was, if you haven't seen the ninth candle day, you see all the days, they all are great. But the ninth candle day was with Mary, who's a shaman from North Carolina. And when we closed it down, I blew all the candles out. I scooped them up into a box, took them out and put them by the trash. And immediately it started getting better. But it's really yesterday when we were able to air the whole house out because the pollen count was down enough. Because the pollen's what triggered it all off. But so I've made an agreement with my kids for y'all who see the romance of the 9 candles and lighting them and seeing the flame. No more. All the candles I ordered were supposed to be not unscented.
Mm,
And you know, everything has a little bit of an odor to it.
sure.
But these had been around stuff that had anyway. I I've developed a hyperallergy to scented candles, and so they're gonna be 9 little lit candles, and I can do it without a lighter. I can just sit here and click the buttons, and I can change their colors. I mean, I've been looking at them.
That's
It's a
amazing.
whole new world, girls. It's a whole new world.
That sounds so much easier, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, Debbie.
Debbie's getting a tan in Mexico.
Oh, that sounds like fun, 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 man.
Yeah, well, I can't do it because I had melanoma, so I can't go out.
Oh, really? Oh,
And
no.
I'm allergic to the sun. I
I
was
can't
always
imagine
allergic.
you with a tan.
I mean, yeah, I don't tan. I turn into strawberry rash. It's the most
Yeah.
unpredictable. So,
Wow.
but if you can do it, and I really think getting enough sun's okay. But right now we're getting a whole lot of sunlight. Debbie, be very careful. She's very pale.
Oh my gosh. Right. Um, I can get a little bit of a tan, and I'm okay with it. My husband had a really bad melanoma years ago.
Hmm.
I remember he was from the Ozarks, but we were living in South Florida, and I remember his plastic surgeon said, "I've never seen this much sun damage on a person that wasn't a surfer because he was always out there outside." And
And it's who you are. It's like I have I actually used to have a cousin who he died, but he lived in Australia, and he used to tell me that I mean he came from the same part of Ireland as my family, and the sun there is just a death sentence to you if you don't watch it. And in Australia they have the screening booths on the beach, so when you're in your swimsuit you can go in and they can screen you for it. I never had any marks. I had one mole on the back of my leg that they watched. And somebody's heating her house up in Finland with a fireplace. What does she want to hear about what we're talking about?
wow,
I had this one little mole, but it was oddly shaped. And that's the other thing is if you have an oddly shaped mole, get them to watch that. And it was a God thing. I kept opening up my Facebook in the spring and it kept saying, plant your gardens, do the did, clean your lawn furniture, and have you been screened for melanoma? And I was like, finally, I said to my daughter, is there like this Cancer Society doing the world's sneakiest campaign on all of us? And she said, Mom, I never get comments about skin cancer on my Facebook. So I thought, well, it wouldn't hurt. And there was a free screening on my way one Saturday into work. And I went into the place and I got a Hispanic doctor who's absolutely lovely. He said, oh, I said, what I was worried about was I had some flaky skin on the top of my head. And as a child, I used to get sunburns in my head. And so, and he said, no, that's a da-da-da-da-da. It's typical, and use this kind of shampoo. And so then he said, well, do you have anything else? I said, well, I have a mole on the back of my leg. And it was so intriguing to doctors. They actually took pictures of it and measured it. But it's on the other side of my, it's like on the back. It's like you'd have to lift your foot up and go like this to look at this part of my leg. So he said, oh, let me go down and look. When he came back up, he was pale, and he was Hispanic, but he was pale. And he said, do you have a dermatologist? And I said, no. And he goes, you need one, like now.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, I have a friend who works in cancer research. And I said, she works with them. And he said, fine. So I called her. It was a Saturday morning, and I called her. And I told her what was up. And I said, he seemed really like, I need to look at this like right now. And she said, she starts laughing. And I said, it's not funny. And she said, no, I'm laughing because I have my hand on a doorknob of a breakfast that they're having, of a combined meeting of oncology and dermatology. And I'm supposed to go in and help coordinate with people. And she said, I'll have you doctors. And when she called me that day at noon, it was Saturday. Monday, I had an appointment with the dermatologist. And Tuesday, they'd already booked me over to go to the oncologist just in case. And yeah, when they take like little divots, well, you know, if they cut them off your husband, they chop them up. It looked like a shark had bitten the back of my leg because it's a big chunk. It's a teeny little thing. They told me I was 1 millimeter away from being systemic. It was that close to being got. So it's nothing to play with. And if you think you have something, go, because it spreads really quickly. Yeah, the tests are kind of gross. They have to take it out and they have to check your lymph nodes, but it never got in my lymph system. And now, I've done my 8 years of, I'm okay. Met some wonderful doctors.
Yeah.
In that. And some really good people, but.
Yeah. My husband was at a function. He was volunteering, and one of his good friends was a doctor, and he saw a mole on him, and he said, you need to get that checked. Same thing. And he goes, oh yeah, okay. And he goes, no, I mean tomorrow you need to get it checked. And it was the same. And it was like, it did look like a shark had taken a bite out of him.
Oh, it did. And I mean, but that's all completely healed now. You can't even tell where that happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're, and what we're supposed to be talking about.
Oh yeah, 5-5 portal, you guys.
Yes, well, that's one of the things. The other one is, if I have a spark and a light and I can share it with someone, we put our sparks together, we make a bigger light, and then that grows and grows and grows. So, but we're going to talk about it first as 5-5. And I have I don't have it written down. I'll put it out I'll send it out on my community page later today. It goes, on this day of fives, I align with my highest good. I welcome the winds of change and walk through this portal with courage, clarity, and grace. And then, so it is. And then what you take is you get a paper, and I already wrote my intentions this morning because I'm a nerd. And I wrote what I want on the piece of paper, and so I'm going to fold it in 5 times. This is once, twice, 3. I'm going to make a skinny thing because I'm going to put mine under a crystal. 4, and then fold it into, I, you could start with a bigger piece and it wouldn't get so springy. And then just for my own volition, you can put this under a book you really like. You can put it on if you have a meditation area in your home, you can put it in there. You can, what I did is I pulled out of my crystal reading cards, I pulled a crystal, and as y'all know, if you know anything at all about me, I love fluorite, and I got fluorite. I have a big old chunk of fluorite. I'm going to put this piece of paper, fold it up 5 times underneath, and just let the universe take care of it from there.
That's beautiful. Love that. Yeah. We did a meditation this morning going into the divine feminine and earth, and harmonizing with her frequency. And it's like, I was watching Alex on what is that channel that he has, Next Level Soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he had someone on, or no, actually it was Barbara Hand Klaus, pardon me, with Heather Ensworth.
She was with Heather. Yes, that was a brilliant show. Brilliant. If you haven't seen it, go see Heather Ensworth and Barbara Hand Cloud.
Yeah, yeah, she's amazing. And Barbara Hand Cloud has an amazing website too, you guys, that all this information for free. It's just phenomenal, like you do, Nancy Jean. And anyway, it was quite something. But she was talking about harmonizing with inner earth, and we've been doing a lot of that for a long time, but it gets bigger because now the frequencies of the earth are just, she said, she was talking about like how the frequency of second dimension and first dimension are so strong, and we always thought, oh, I'm going to go to fifth dimension, get my frequency.
Yeah, everybody wants to go up. Hey, I want to be 8. I want to be 12. Why? If you don't do 1 and 2.
Yeah, 1 and 2 are such vibrant energies, and it is once we go in there where we can have infinite potential. So anyway, it was quite lovely. So yeah, that's just what I was going to say about that. And I've got a little quote here that I liked. Where is it? Here it is. I am the open gate. I receive the light of the 5-5 portal and walk boldly into my highest self. That's it.
That's it.
Short and sweet.
May is short and sweet. It's a great time to have things. Last week was a real trip, having a birthday in the middle of all that.
Oh, happy birthday.
And some of it was all interesting. I have a friend who I've known since junior high, and we met in junior high all city choir. And she fascinated me because she had those, if you've never known about braces, before they put the little shiny plastic things on, they used to put these metal things and they'd screw them and they put rubber bands on them to make them tighter to keep pulling your teeth. Well, Meg had the amazing skill of being able to open her mouth, twist her mouth around, and shoot the rubber bands out. And I mean, when you're in junior high, that's a class act, right? And she was also an alto. So she sat next to me, and we've been friends since then. And she wrote me a letter and she and I talked on my birthday. She said, I want to talk to you on my birthday. I want to talk to you on your birthday. She's been diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And that's what she didn't want to hear. She said, don't be sorry for me. Now I know why things are fading. I thought it was just the stress of being a person in this life. And she said, now I know I have the opportunity to hold on to dearly the things that I care to remember.
That's so beautiful.
And she has no family due to a long set of circumstances. She had a daughter, and her daughter was in a bad car accident, and they don't get along. And so she's kind of on her own, but she lives in a place that would be idyllic. She lives on an island off the West Coast that's part of a nature preserve. So the little village she lives in is a support to the nature preserve. So she lives on the edge of a national forest and a place in a little village where she can walk to everywhere. She's been there long enough. She's got long term friends. She does water aerobics 4 times a week. Her water aerobics group makes sure that they're always checking in with her. They become her family. They're closer than probably most of us would have family to rely on for this. She got into a lovely little living situation where she overlooks the bay and she can sit on her patio right next to the dog park. And she loves dogs. And she said, "What else do I need?"
Beautiful.
And so we talked, and I told her that if it's a great day, call me up and say, "Today's a great day. And remember when we did all this stuff?" And I said, if it's a bad day, just call me up and, put me on speed dial and I'll be here. But I told her, do you think I'm going to run away from a friend that I did all the crazy shit stuff we did in Chicago together? Why would I leave now?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Dementia's something else. My brother has early onset dementia
Mm-hmm.
and that lives in England. And he's in a small town outside of
Mm-hmm.
Nottingham. And he can walk everywhere. And everybody knows him at all the
Mm-hmm.
shops. And his language skills, I think, are getting worse. And it's hard, like because he likes walking a lot. And he's
Mm-hmm.
a college athlete. And he's still in great shape. But um, they help him with his credit card and things. And they take care of him. And he's got a beautiful family there. His wife's family is all around there. We all try to come now once a year.
Mm-hmm.
But it's what I was going to say about that is just that it's kind of turned into this beautiful thing between he and his family and all their friends,
Mm-hmm.
everybody having the chance to give and to come together and to help. And he and his wife, their relationship is just so amazing. She's so capable and so giving, and they make it kind of a joke, and they give each other a hard time. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just hilarious to listen to him. Like, "You silly man, why would you put that on backwards?"
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's turned into, like, a beautiful thing to watch, a gift in a weird way.
Well, when my husband was dying, and I've done a whole show with Danny on death and dying and going through all that. But at the end of his life, we were living in an agendaless society. I mean, we're living where there was no agenda. There was no, in 3 weeks from now, am I going to think this or anything else? All you had was that day. And I mean, literally, by the time we got to certain diagnosis, we didn't know how many more days there even were. And I remember thinking one day in the car, if we'd only been able to live our lives like that for the whole time we'd been together, instead of without the anticipation and the expecting this to happen or that to happen.
The
And
word, yeah.
right. And he basically said kind of the same thing. So it's when we always think about, oh my God, remember when this happened between us, and then projecting into the future what might, when you don't have a future, all you got is now.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. That's a great way to put that because it is a beautiful thing to see, and it's like, there aren't any worries a lot of times when you have Alzheimer's because,
Mhm.
um, you know, you're not worried about that. You're not as worried about the future or the past. You're more
And
present.
and she's got a good, she lives, her where she lives is near Seattle, and she's got she's part of there was a brain health center there, and then they're tied to a physician's assistant who's in her town, who's coordinating all of their stuff with her to try and get, I mean, it's not that you don't need care and you don't need to watch out for things, but it's not. I have a friend who's I have 3 friends, and we're all this friend was in Portugal. She said, "I will not be talking to you on your birthday. I will be in Portugal," and she really would not have been able to because that was during their power outage. But she wrote and said, what she and I talked. Her dad had Parkinson's, And the day they told him he had Parkinson's, he came home and he sat down and he said, I have Parkinson's, it's over. And she said he made the whole effing family suffer through him not moving. And he lived for 10 years. And so she was like, and she said, I felt so horrible for my mom. I was like, Mom, get out of here. You know, he doesn't need, you threaten him, tell him he needs to get up and do something. He needs to take some part in this. So we all deal with it differently, and all families deal with it differently. And I'm so happy that, you know, I'm able to have an understanding of this time with her. And the fourth of the foursome, and this is my friends I've known since I was 3. She had a chemical exposure which caused a slight bit of brain damage, but how it shows up is really weird. And she said, we don't know if it's like what kind of dementia it is, but she said, I can feel I'm slipping. And she said, not only am I slipping, but she's shrinking. She was 5'8". I was 5'3". So I was the short. Meg was 5'11", and Pam was 6 feet. And so I always thought I was as tall as they were, you know, because I'm as tall. It wasn't until I got to college and I was with all these long, leggy girls that go into theater that are, you know, 5'9", 5'10". And there I was, the stub at the end of the thing. You'd see the line and there'd be boop. And Bucky said, I'm coming to meet you. She was 5'8", and she's, because of bone things from her stuff, she's 5'5" now. But she said, because I kept active and I did my drumming and all my other stuff, I'm moving pretty good. And she said, so I don't have any real problem with that. But I'm just telling you guys, just enjoy wherever you are. That's what we all decided. We just want to enjoy wherever we are and figure out how to live the best life we can.
Yeah, definitely. Sharon, thank you for being here. Sharon Sipe is here. Happy birthday, everyone. Yes. Yeah, yeah. And she's definitely here for everybody all the time. So she's
yeah, Sharon, I don't think she sleeps. I don't think she's, if she disappears, we really start combing the internet looking for her because.
Right. Yeah, she's amazing. Well, it is interesting to live from that center of presence, and we are always finding what we love to do. So, yeah. And Debbie, are you in Mexico?
Yeah, she's in Mexico. She's on the coast.
Dang, nice.
Yep. It's beautiful. I took a cruise and we went to the Mexican, and we were in Cancun, and I went on that beach that is, I forget which beer it is, but all of their commercials that are done on the beach are done on that beach. So I remember that palm tree.
Yeah, it's right by Tulum. It's beautiful there. I've been there. Yeah, I used to go every other year to Mexico on a girls' trip.
Ah, I went on a mom trip. I packed the 3 grown kids up. The youngest was about to finish high school and would go off to college. My daughter was between engagements and could take the time off. And my oldest son was not married or anything like that. And he was available, and I had inherited some money. So I bought us a Christmas cruise. We went at the Christmas time because you guys are going to think my life's one giant tragic mess, but we had 5 Christmases in a row where someone died in our family. I mean, like fell over suddenly, boom, dead. And so I got to the point where I was like, the Christmas after Bill died, I'd go buy the kids gifts. I'd bring them back in the package they came from the store. I'd staple them shut, write their name with a marker, and throw it under the tree. That was Christmas. It's the best I could do. So we decided that we were going to take a cruise. And if the ship sank, then we knew it was us and Christmas. If the ship made it through and got us through, then we'd be past our Christmas problem portals. And it was wonderful. On Christmas Day that year, I was down in the spa getting a massage.
Oh, how beautiful.
You know, and the kids, they all said it's probably the best time we ever had, and that we all had it together. I mean, they didn't have to be, especially for the one that was in high school. Oh my God. They didn't have to be with us. And there was a teen group that was on the ship. And the first day, Susan came running back and said, I need my computer. And I had not wanted her to bring her laptop because she lived in that laptop. And I said, why? And she said, their system's down and I know how to fix it. So she went with her laptop. Susan was a computer whiz as a kid. And she went in and she fixed it. So she was the hero of the cruise for the teenagers for the rest of the cruise because she fixed their big area that was all set up for them to play in.
Wow. That's amazing. I love that. Kids are amazing.
Kids are amazing. Things are just have to open yourself up to the different things that life has to offer and offer what you can. This whole day actually started off with an article I sent Teri about how volunteering just on the fly and ending up helping someone do something you didn't expect to, have to work with them to do, how that can change your life. And I've ran volunteers for a long time. And so I totally relate to that because I would watch people walk in and they're like, I used to run volunteer groups for PBS, for film festivals, and for some stuff down in my church where it was the kitchen group who made meals and stuff. But everybody brings in a skill, and sometimes you wandering around, I just don't know what to do with myself. Well, what can I do that's helpful? Having a place where people can come and share. You bring in your spark of what you know how to do, and somebody else brings in their spark of what they know how to do. You put them together and you've got a bigger spark, and then you get enough people together. It's a great big spark. But sometimes you don't need a great big bunch of people. You just need
the right people. Yeah. Yeah. Volunteering's nice. It makes you part of a group, a community. And anytime you give, and people are grateful, you give people an opportunity to be grateful.
I think a lot of people are finding that sense of community right now in the demonstrations.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm here. Well, I know why I'm here because I'm pissed as hell, but I don't know what I can do. But just meeting other people and communing with them on what's going on. And I understand in a lot of cities, they're turning into people organizing food banks and clothing banks and helping people in all the ways that are going to become even more important. Although I don't think that the scourge is going to stay. I mean, the scourge is done what the scourge is done.
Yeah.
They got your social security. If you're worried about your social security information, don't get on Facebook. Facebook knows I have a cat, not a dog. They know more shit about me. And I asked my youngest, the computer wizard, about getting one of those things that scrubs your information. Well, she just took my social security number, a couple other things. She scrubbed all those out. And she said, that's all you really need. And it works for a month. And then they'll find it in another source. But I said, do you really need one of those services? And she said, well, if you don't want to do it yourself or you don't have a Susan to call from upstairs, it can be helpful. But there's so much stuff out there that, what we need to be working on is not worrying about the information they're getting on us, but figuring out how we're going to get rid of some people that are working in the federal government that shouldn't be there, that shouldn't be anywhere near our information.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, hi, Dr. Gail. How are you?
She's fine. I hope they've painted her house. She had to go to South Carolina to make sure one of her rent house was painted right. So,
oh, nice. Hey, Garnet. Yeah, doing all that stuff, volunteering and being grateful. I feel like for a long time, a lot of people went to church, and a lot of people have turned away from it. And if you guys don't have a place of worship, and you're finding your own place of worship, and a lot of people are coming together in communities like this on YouTube and learning about metaphysics and intuition and whatnot. But but it's taken a different part. So it is a nice community when you get into it. I feel like a lot of people are finding that with the demonstrations, that
Hmm.
community. So it's amazing. Um, yeah, I feel like a lot of us have found a great community here on YouTube too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and we really love and appreciate every single one of you. By the way, if you have not joined my community, apparently I had 3 or 4 in there that were um, bots, and so StreamYard went in and took them away. YouTube took them away, so my numbers dropped again. But right in the middle of 9 candles, and I'm like, no, that's wrong.
Oh yeah.
But I did find out when 9 candles will be very different. One thing was what was making it so hard for me to breathe. I ordered unscented candles. They sent me some that had something in them. Anyway, I can't use Bernie candles anymore. So next 9 candles is going to be the little guys with the light switch, and you can change their colors. You can do all sorts of fun stuff with them. It was interesting. But the other thing was, I had one of my 9 candles that just took off. It wasn't in a premiere. It I I didn't hit all the buttons, or they didn't all register, and so one of mine went out at midnight. Not on the day she was supposed to. I'm sure people who were watching it were kind of going, "What the hell is this?" Um, I had more people watch that, and I got a bunch of comments from other countries saying, "Could you get this translated into our language? Could you hook up with that service to do that?"
Wow, that's great.
So
That's great. Who do you do that through? Through Google or StreamYard or?
it's StreamYard. I mean, I don't know. You know what I do? I go upstairs and knock on there and say, "Susan,"
Yeah, you've got it, Susan.
but I will ask Susan how it's done.
Yeah, I know. There's a few times I think YouTube has done it for me too, because I've tried to go back and do things on old shows, and they're like, you can't do that because you have other languages in this video. So
I only have, well, we may speak in many other languages they don't understand, but we are all speaking, as far as I know, not the Queen's English or the King's English, but some form of English. So, yeah,
yeah,
we didn't have any questions.
mm-mm. Nope.
Everybody's lives are solved and all our problems are gone.
Yeah, Paul Freed moved back to Pennsylvania. Hi, Kelsey Sear. She says Neptune and Aries will open up new pathways to spirituality. Some will gain clarity while others will join cults. Hey, why not?
Hey, why not?
I feel like a lot of the metaphysical stuff that was out in the 70s and the 80s were cults, and I was in one of them.
Oh no, I was in one. I had a therapist that I didn't realize it until finally I had a good friend take me out and say, every person you know comes out of her therapy groups. Every party you've had, every gathering you've had has been from that. And she had gone to the same therapist, and she said, that's why I got out, because she started telling me, no, you need to ditch this boyfriend and do this thing. And
Oh,
she said apparently she hasn't gotten that far with you, but she said, I want to have you as a friend. And she said, I'm not going to let go of you as a friend. So you can go tell her, if she's telling you to not be. And the therapist had told me the week before, don't be around this woman.
wow.
And so I don't see that therapist, but I did talk to that woman this week. So
Yeah, yeah. We had an interesting therapist too. J. Cat Lady asks, what are the first signs of dementia? Great question.
we since 2 years ago, when we were talking to my friend who has now been diagnosed, she was losing words.
Yeah.
And she could, when you, and she was afraid of what was happening to her because she didn't know what it was. So when we talk about, remember when we used to go to da 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 when we were at Hufford Junior High and stuff, and she'd go no,
Oh,
and she didn't want to even think about it. And one of my friends, one of the 4 of us, one of them has taken two parents through two kinds of slipping skills and abilities. And she said, I think we just all need to be ready for this diagnosis.
Yeah.
But the best way, cat lady, I don't know where you live, but most places have a brain health center. Dallas has one. It's attached to UT Southwestern. My friend's going to one, went to one attached in Seattle. They can give you a series of tests. And I used to live in a high rise for old people, and it was for people 63 and better was their word. But anyway, it was a high rise full of, but it was beautifully maintained building. It was gorgeous, one of the prettiest places I've ever lived. And there was a whole bunch of women that used to go over there every year, once a year, and see how much further they were down the stairway. That's what they used to say. And um and we're talking about someone at the very beginning who's still communicating. But some people it's really quick. There's a lot now they can do to help you. My other friend who thought she might have it, she went in and she ended up she needed real true dietary changes. She's on a keto diet now, and she wears a glucose monitor, and she monitors her blood sugars like a son of a bitch. And she said it's like day and night.
Yeah, they're finding that Ozempic and Monjovi or whatever it's called, and those are really helpful actually with inflammation in the brain, a lot of different things. They're finding all sorts of new ways to use it. They've also been talking a lot about tobacco gum, and they've even talked about that being good with dementia. But I know the telepathy tapes are incredible
Oh
and
yeah.
with dementia now too. But I think pretty soon AI is going to be really helpful for people. And I feel like, from what I understand, everybody presents their dementia in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could be apaxia of speech, it could be body language or
Mm-hmm.
shuffling. There's always a lot of shuffling with different types. So there's so many different ways that it presents itself. But I know my stepmom had dementia for years, and she and my dad worked together to kind of hide it
Mm-hmm.
and keep everybody from knowing about it. But anyway, so they were in cahoots.
Yeah, well, and everybody has some people. It's like I've had friends who had cancer who didn't want anyone to know. Now
Yeah,
it's a little tough when you have a portal and you're doing all. I mean, how people don't know, but they don't know. Lost all their hair, wore wigs, did stuff. That's how they handled it, and I respected that, and we would talk about that. Um, I know if I had a bad diagnosis, y'all would know about it in 2 days. Yeah, so I'm just different about that. Because how can people help and support you if they don't know what's going on? But some people, I've got to admit, I had a woman one time that was just learning witchcraft, which should have been an immediate sign. She was just a client who called me on a Zoom call, and I was having trouble breathing that day. And she said, "Oh, I can help with that." And all of a sudden, I was choking through the internet. This woman had grabbed, and fortunately, Susan was in the kitchen, and she goes, "Mom, what's wrong?" And I'm like, and Susan got on the screen and said, "Stop whatever you're doing right now." And she did, and I could feel it let go.
wow.
And I was like, "You don't know what you're doing." And she said, "Oh, well, I'm just a novice." I said, "Well, keep your little novice ass to yourself." I sent her money back. I wanted no connection to that woman whatsoever.
Wow. Yeah. Garnet says they found a way to keep brain cells alive to cultivate. And Debbie says the food in Mexico tastes so much better than in America. I
Mm-hmm.
agree 100%. It's so fresh down there. Lauren says there's so much research now, and many call dementia type 3 diabetes.
Right.
Like others are saying food is medicine. 100%. Yeah.
I've had, I go to a health center that treats, the woman, the first doctor I had there was the leading doctor in Dallas in keto. And she had, she told me that over the course of her career, she had reversed type 2 diabetes in over 400 people in the last year.
Wow.
And she said that And it's like, I guess it cleans it up. I've been doing keto for so long that when I eat wrong, and I ate wrong yesterday, I went and had a crab boil dinner. And
Oh my goodness.
I had that. I had the garlic bread and the other stuff that I know I shouldn't have. Andre Carr lectured me about that. He said, "Why would you eat food that you know is going to make you feel bad?" And I said,
Uh-huh.
"Because it tastes good." Go read your charts, Andre. But if you can do anything that intervenes that makes you healthier.
Yeah, and I think moving a lot helps a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's what I don't do enough.
yeah, well, um, that side to side thing and moving across the center line has always been a really big thing for kids that are born with sensitivities
Mm-hmm.
or autism, and any of that twisting or swimming is great. Bicycling,
Mm-hmm.
great. All of that. So swimming, yeah. Oh, Debbie says roasted dandelion tea is good for that too. Yeah, my neighbor was spraying his front yard and talking about politics and everything. And I said, well, you might not want to be spraying that stuff because you might be drinking and eating those next week. The
That's
deer.
right. RFK has his way. I mean, and some of the stuff RFK says is to me just batshit crazy. But some of what he's talking about, and it's been true. The FDA for a long time got funded by certain big companies, and they pushed
Oh,
their agenda.
big pharma. Yeah, it's a
Hmm.
terrible mess. They also the parasites. I mean, it's other cultures. They totally do a cleanse like once a year or every couple of months or whatever. It's just built into their culture to do that. And
They used to do that. I remember as a kid, all the old people talking about going out and getting this stuff and cleansing them in this after the winter.
yeah, yeah, important. So I was talking to a young lady the other day at a fair I was reading for, and I was like, "You're just glowing, spiritually and physically." And she just looked amazing. And she said, "Oh," she said, I just went through and got all these parasites taken away."
Mm.
And she said, "I feel so good." Anyway, she looked amazing. See, ethnicity loves RFK Jr. Yeah, yeah. So wish he would go after the GMOs. I bet he will. I think he went after the dyes finally. And some people say that's just kind of a showboat.
The
But
dyes were on the way out. They'd already been thrown out. I mean, it took forever. That red dye used to trigger my eldest off.
mhm,
And if he ate like Cheetos, which had that red dye in it,
yeah,
he'd sit there and he'd rock back and forth and say, "It hurts."
yeah. I used to call my son the Cheeto kid. He loved Cheetos, but yeah, it was not good for him.
No.
Yeah. Hey, warrior girl, how you doing? So, yeah, there's lots of stuff we can do to help with that, but
But also be careful because I found a cure for something. And I talked to somebody who had similar problems and it was homeopathic. And I said, "You need to talk to a homeopathic person before you
oh
go
god,
and take this." Well, she ordered it off the internet and it temporarily blinded her.
really?
Hmm. And she's had a lot of other health problems recently.
Yeah.
And she managed to text me after she could read her keyboard again. And I said, "You shouldn't be doing anything like that unless you're talking to somebody who understands that world because I'm a reader, and what works for me may not work. I can guarantee you what works for me may not work for you because I got a whole lot of stuff that people say, oh, that always works for me. It doesn't touch what's wrong with me."
Yeah. No, we're all different, 100%. Yeah. You have post-stroke central neuropathy for your strokes. Oh, wow, warrior girl.
That's
Yeah.
tough. Neuropathy is bad. I mean, it's hard to cope with.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got, I don't know. I've been doing a lot of stuff. We have a naturopath that we work with, and he's also a homeopathic doctor. And my grandfather, who I never met, who died in Germany before they immigrated, he was a homeopathic doctor too.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of grew up with all of that. And it was really nice because when my kids would be sick, my babysitters would call me and say, what's going on? This is what Eric's got a stomach ache, or they've got pains in their
Mm-hmm.
legs. I was like, oh, get number 5 or get quinine, and
Mm-hmm.
it's all up there. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
and if you know what to do and it's in your own family, fine.
yeah. Garnet says, my auntie had a brain aneurysm. She was an alcoholic being in a coma, and she came out of the hospital. She was cured of alcohol. You couldn't meet a nicer person. Before, she was terrible. And don't you feel like that was like maybe something that was built into her contract, Garnet? And then all of a sudden her guides came in and said, nope, you don't need that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Done. Kind of like not an NDE, but what do they call those when it's not, you don't have to die to get through it, but an out of body experience.
Near miss.
A near miss. I like that. Yeah, Warrior Girl says 1 to 8% of stroke survivors get it, and 75 to 76% of us end up unaliving ourselves because we can't help for the pain. Interesting. Oh,
I found I did the DNA test, the pharma DNA test, where they take your DNA and then they run against every drug in the world. It's 92 pages long, the report, and almost all painkillers work in reverse with me. Like the stuff they give you to calm you down,
yeah,
it wakes me up. The
me
stuff
too.
they would give you to wake you up, to make you, why they want to make you more jittery, I don't know. But all the stuff would normally make you more jittery. For me, that puts me to sleep. So you really kind of need. My doctors have that whole list, and basically it proves everything I've told them over the years. I take no big pharma except the nebulizer, and I only use that when I need it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Doctors don't really get much on eating or any
No,
of.
they got nothing.
Yeah, they get very little. A friend of mine's a doctor, and she teaches at one of the universities here, and I think it's a 6-month course on alternative health, and that's all out of what, 6 years or 8 years,
Yeah.
whatever. So it's not very long, but she's also a Chopra teacher, and so she has a lot of ideas about it, and her husband's a surgeon. But
Hmm.
so it's nice when you can find somebody that knows about the biome and the geome and all
Yeah.
those things.
And hypnicity. I have a good friend whose his heart stopped twice on the operating room table when they were supposed to be fixing it, and he went to the other side, and he didn't want to come back. And the last time they were working on his lungs, a similar thing happened, and he just told the angels, "I'm not going back." And they said, "Yeah, you are." And he's still with us now. He resents every day of it. He wants, and but he can be incredibly psychic when he's not sitting there being bitched about having to be here.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, when you get to my age, they really, 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 really have to think about putting you under, because our bodies are changed enough. We don't behave like other people's do.
Mm, yeah. Oh, hi, Singing Tree.
If
Um,
you Singing Tree, can you tell us what this topic is? We've talked about it.
it was going to be the 5-5 portal, and then we came
Right.
to dementia, and
Then it became into sharing our sparks.
yeah, yeah. Oh, Warrior Girl, you've woken up during surgeries just like your dad used to.
Oh,
Wow.
that Warrior Girl, they have equipment now, because that's another peculiarity I have. I use anesthesia too fast. They have equipment now that watches that, because last time I had them, it was when they did my melanoma. And the guy said, "Oh yeah, and he said, thank you for telling me." The anesthesiologist, he said, because most people didn't know that. He said, "How long have you known that?" And I said, "When I was 18, they were taking out a benign breast tumor, and my father was an anesthesiologist. It was one of the partners in his practice that was monitoring me, and I started to wake up. And they warned me to tell every doctor that I worked with, because they all saw it happen enough to know it does happen, but they can't overdrug you. And I use it 40 to 50% faster than the average person that gets in it. And my daughter uses it 60% faster. I mean, she roars through anesthesia. And when they worked with her, they told her, make sure everybody knows that. But now they have equipment on all the machines when they're putting you under, for the most part. And they watch for that now. So we don't go, surprise, I'm here.
Right. Yeah. Oh, they just said if he went, you'd miss the surprise. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I don't, I go through things like that. Like my son and I, our systems are a lot alike. So
Mm-hmm.
would prescribe him something, I would always take it first, which is kind of weird, but but
Mm-hmm.
it would, I could tell what it was going to be like.
And the
So,
thing is, when you wake up, you're much more aware because you're awake. So you feel the after effects of anesthesia more if you run through it faster. So
oh, interesting.
who knew? They
Wow.
told me
Yeah.
all about it.
You have a new member, D Sparks.
Yes, I saw that. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Thank
Welcome.
you, Dee.
Yeah. Totally cool. Oh, your mom was like that too, Rush. Yeah. Yeah. My mom couldn't drink. She couldn't take pain medicine. She was just, not available for any of that stuff.
Well, she was available, but she went to a whole nother place than she expected. That's all.
Yeah, she was out. She was gone. So there was no way. Anyway, that was good.
Okay, can I do my advertisement now?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Um, if you would like to learn how to read tarot, Jeffrey Ripecolor and I are putting a class together, and where's my okay? This is the wrong banner. It's not going to start on Wednesdays. We've had some people sign up, and then we've just had trouble getting our schedules together. And I believe my class needs to have a certain number of people to be in the class for it to be viable. And we really do teach you in 6 weeks how to read tarot from soups to nuts. So if you're interested in learning how to read tarot, please go to the www.crystaldirections.com and look it up. There's a page that will tell you about it. We're only going to be teaching the night class. Nobody wanted to learn tarot on Saturdays. I can't imagine why. But and yesterday I think I picked up a new person too. So it's a lot of fun. It's the classes I've put together so far, they like each other so much that a small cadre of them stay together, and they have their own let's read tarot night parties, and they just kind of develop like that. You really will be able to read. We teach numerology. We teach the symbols of the cards. If you don't know Jeffrey Ripecolor, who teaches with me, he has only ever read Rider-Waite. He doesn't read any other deck of any other kind, and he knows every one of those cards inside and out. So I think it's a good course. I would hope people would want to come join us. I really enjoy teaching it. It's a great distraction from whatever else is going on in your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
All right. You got anything else coming up?
tomorrow, Jeffrey and I, if you want to see who Jeffrey Ripecolor is, Jeffrey and I will be doing a show, and it's just going to be pure readings.
Nice. Yeah.
Sharon, that's old information. Thank you for putting it up, but If it started on April 16th, we're doing some time traveling here. I did pull a card for today
Oh,
before the whole thing started. And you're going to believe this is the card we should have pulled when you've sat through this thing. Feeding crows. Feeding crows is a card of transformation, seeking knowledge and beauty in unexpected places. Crows are often seen as pests to non magical folk, but in the magical community, they're beautiful symbols of magic. They represent manifestation, shape shifting, and transformation. They will also warn you when you need assistance or fail to see danger. That's true. When I see a lot of crows around, that's why they make all that noise. And for those of you who don't know, a flock of crows is called a murder of crows. Many people see them as ugly and disgusting, but that only lends to their magic. The crow teaches you to find beauty in the ugly, undesirable, and discarded. It's often our hardships and our darkness that offer us the most opportunity for growth. If you find the crow upon you, it will be a sign that um, to make the most of that bad situation. When you're going through some shifting yourself, and since five is the shifting number, 555, um, that's a moment when you someday will realize your current challenge has prepared you for much success. Don't be surprised to discover talents when you when you get your back against the wall. Receiving this card is a sign that you are close to unlocking self-awareness and will change the entire course of your life.
wow.
It's just a little card with a little ugly little black bird.
Yeah. Yeah. I got revelations.
Yes.
I feel like some things are coming forward that we'll find out about.
Hmm.
That might cause a little bit more chaos. So just watch it, um, and be aware of it, but watch it with awareness so that you're seeing yourself be aware of it. So you're not
Hmm.
fully connected to the outcome because this is all going to happen so that we can come back together
Right.
eventually and be present.
Play, love, remember. Yes, right. So funny. When I didn't think I had a YouTube channel yet. I paid for a reading from a woman who sends you a taped reading. And she said, I kept seeing this crow being really important to you. Well, it wasn't. It was a raven. And when I was a shaman for the Vikings, I had a raven that I carried on my shoulder.
Wow.
And that was the raven she was seeing. And I had ravens when I was working um, shamanistically in Ireland.
Hmm.
And I had a friend who had a crow crows can learn to talk. And this particular crow lived on his chimney in the most mundane neighborhood you can imagine. But there was this crow on his chimney, and it would say, "Hello, why are you here? Move on."
Wow. Play Love Remember says a raven swooped down and almost touched my cheek, and they followed me around no matter where I drove. Yeah, if anybody else sees that, I have been seeing so many big birds lately, just swooping down. We've got falcons around us, huge hawks that have been coming in.
Yeah, we have barn owls and a lot of owls.
Yeah, and they're just so just notice that, oh, the Tower of London raven have their wings clipped. Wow.
Yeah, because they can't. If the ravens leave the tower, the kingdom will fall.
Yeah. The tower is amazing. The jewels inside the tower, the crown jewels are in there.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It's an incredible place. The energy there. If you're going to go and you're an empath, guard yourself because there is a lot of hubbub and it sort of cleans the energy out. But there are some There are definitely some ghoulies and ghosties and long-legged beasties hanging around that place.
Yeah. Yeah, there really are. Wow. Yep.
With that, we will close on Ravens and Crows. Time to close. Go do your 5-day intentions.
Yep.
And y'all take care.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.